All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Right now we are in the middle of nowhere, Texas. I think it's called Harper, Texas. We're at the Sea Lion Show's place. We're going to meet James in a second, and then we're going to do a quick interview and walk around the kind of giant facility that he's got going here. It looks crazy. We're on our way to Florida right now. Let's do this. So funny how they walk around.
Come say hi.
What is up, my dude?
Come here. Come on. Come here. Come say hi. There you go. Come here. Good boy.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Off Axis Podcast, where we talk entertainment, acrobatics, business, entrepreneurship, fitness, and more. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want to support, please share with your friends. Now, let's jump into the podcast.
Everybody calls me Jimmy. I tried when I
Earhart?
was a kid. Yeah. When I was a kid, I tried to get rid of Jimmy when I was about 18.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 18. I'm going to get rid of Jimmy.
Yeah, my middle name is James, and my friends started calling me Jimmy. I'm like, stop calling me that.
Yeah, I just couldn't get rid of it. All my friends knew me as Jimmy, and announced myself as James or whatever, and
Yeah,
Jimmy. I just stuck.
cool.
Never get rid of it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Off Axis Podcast. I'm here with James Earhart. He is the owner of the Sea Lion Splash Show.
Yep.
I know him because he has the same agent as me, and they have by far probably the most popular show on the fair market, and it is a phenomenal show. And we're here in Harper, Texas right now. How you doing, James?
I'm great. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
actually,
anytime.
it was perfectly on the way.
Yeah, it's about halfway to your destination. Yeah,
It's a perfect halfway stop, and it gives us something to do. When I heard about the Sea Lion Show, my first thought was like, where do you store them, and like, how is that? So, how did you get into it, first of all?
I grew up in the circus business, and then doing all kinds of different acts in the circus, and then started working for a guy that had sea lions, and he's since passed away. His name was Markley. Him and his wife, Marco and Kathy. It was their creation, and then he passed away, and then from there we just kind of ran with it and grew out of hand.
So you started it, you said 11 years ago?
I believe 11 years ago. Yeah,
And you had already previously worked with sea lions before that?
with him through Marco.
Okay.
Yeah,
How is that training process to learn to work with sea lions?
it was fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like it. It's so I like that challenging part of trying something new in my life and just starting over. And that's exactly what we did. I was doing Globe at that time, and then just had enough of that, and was being abused by agents and
Yeah.
getting the short end of the stick several times in a row. And finally told the wife, "All right, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's do something different." And then we did. So I sold all the Globes and went all in. That's kind of been my whole life. I don't ever do anything halfway.
Yeah.
I try and go all in and give it the full gusto and go for it. And we did. Sold it all, and that way there's no plan B.
Yeah.
Go for it. Make it
Go
happen.
for it. You got to go all in.
Right.
And for the audience listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, Globe of Death is where, that's what they mostly call it, right?
Yeah,
Globe
Globe of Death, yeah.
It's where there's a circular sphere, and there's multiple motorcycles spinning around it. It looks crazy. They get super close to each other. Did you ever get hurt doing that?
Never major. A couple bumps and bruises, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And we did some crazy things.
How many people did you get in there?
We stuck 6 in a 14.5-foot globe, which I believe is the world record.
6. Yeah. I think you know Phoenix, right?
Yes, I do.
Was
Very
Phoenix
well.
on there with that one?
No, he wasn't, but I doubt Phoenix Globe.
Yeah.
When he was young. He was probably, I don't know, maybe 14, somewhere in that area.
Crazy.
And so Phoenix worked with me, but never at that part. His family had moved on from that circus that we were with, and
Yeah.
hadn't seen him for a while. And then he ended up in Vegas, close to my sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws, and that's when we reunited.
So sea lions are probably a little bit more gentle on the body.
Very.
Very.
Hopefully.
Okay, so what takes longer, to teach a performer how to work with sea lions, or to teach sea lions how to work in the show?
I would say it's equal.
Equal.
Yeah, probably close to a year for
A year?
Yeah, for the learning curve for either one.
Okay.
Sea lion can learn the basics in a year. A decent amount of behaviors and stuff.
Yeah.
And as well as the humans.
And do you have like is there a certain age that they need to be?
No, we start with, it kind of depends on how we receive them. Sometimes we receive them as young, and sometimes we get them as older. So we receive some that are like 12, 14 years old already, and you're starting with the green at that age. So I'd say the learning curve is different, but as far as when we start, just kind of whatever we're handed.
Yeah. Have you been handed one that could not do it?
Yes and no. We had one. Her name is Kika, and she's actually a really good sea lion now. But she came and was basically just scared to death of everything, and wouldn't cooperate. Just was not conforming. And we were driving, and to home actually, and I told the wife, I said, so I don't know what we're going to do with this sea lion. I don't think this one's going to work out. And I think she heard me. Seriously, because it seemed like the next day she finally had some confidence and some trust in us to where we were able to start working with her.
Yeah.
So no, we haven't had any that we haven't been able to do anything with, but that one, it was right on that threshold where I was like, this one's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So, but she did, and she's great now.
Is it harder to find performers or to find sea lions? What's a bigger constraint on the business?
Right now, both.
Both?
Yeah, right now, both. I could use a couple more sea lions for touring and doing shows and stuff like that. As you saw, we have plenty here that stay here. And some of them are retired, just don't do shows anymore or on the road, but they're still capable. We still work with them every single day, at least twice a day, depending on what we're working with. Sometimes we're working on different behaviors or medical behaviors where it's, they'll like do a voluntary blood draw. So that takes a lot of time. It's, and where safety is an issue. If you're trying to draw blood out of a sea lion that can turn around and bite you. So it's a very slow process. So we do things like that here at home with some of them that are retired that require more blood draws. Typically we do it once a year, but some of these older ones that are retired, we do it a little more often just to monitor their health.
And for the performers, the human performers, what type of personality do you typically look for?
I look for the outgoing personality that's dedicated, goal-oriented, more than anything, and somebody that can finish a task without their phone. And that's a hard part now.
Yeah, and what about, is there an age preference or anything?
No age preference. More of a discipline preference, I guess you could say.
Discipline preference.
Yeah,
so
with the humans. Right.
And anywhere, or do they need to be based close to Texas? Because we're in Texas right now.
We're in Texas now, but no, they could be based anywhere, just willing to travel is what we're looking for. Somebody that's willing to go out and do shows. We as you saw, we have people here that stay here permanently here at our winter quarters, but that's typically easy to find.
Yeah.
Somebody that's willing to do that and work with sea lions and get paid for it and do that stuff. But then traveling and doing shows seems to be more of a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, traveling is, I think, one of the funnest parts of it, though.
I agree. That's the part I love.
Yeah. There's nothing I love more than just driving away from my house and just being by myself where there's no one else around.
Same.
And you're off on an adventure to go to usually somewhere across the country. I would say that I'm a professional driver, part-time performer.
It's exactly what I say. I get paid to drive and I do shows for fun.
So where can, if anyone's listening and wants to do sea lions, where do they go apply?
Just contact me.
You.
I've done this before on podcasts. I'll throw my cell phone number out there. It's 941-928-7587.
Cool.
Shoot me a text if they're interested.
Cool. Okay. So what would be what's it like traveling with sea lions? Do they stop and get bathroom breaks?
Not bathroom breaks, but we do stop. We stop about every 2.5 hours.
Wow, that's very often.
Very often. So we'll stop and check on them. We have generators running, so it's climate controlled while we're traveling. So we have a light on the outside of the trailer that we can see that the generator's going. So if that generator turns off, that light turns off, and you can't see it in the mirror.
Do you have like a ring camera in there?
We do. We have cameras in there. It's kind of boring to watch when they're traveling because they sleep. It's I used to put really nice ones in there. Yeah. And now we just use really generic ones.
What is it like in the trailer?
It's all stainless steel.
Is there like a pool?
There's a pool inside the trailer that they can swim in, and then there's a deck that covers most of it. So then they can swim underneath that deck while we're traveling, but they don't.
Yeah.
They just stay up on that deck right where the air conditioner's hitting them and just chill. And we keep the air about 62 in there.
62. Yeah, that's kind of cold, right?
It's chilly, yeah.
Huh.
So, but they love it. So they'll just sit there and and if we have that, there's a hatch on the top as well. So if the hatch is open, depending on ambient temperature, if it's decent weather outside, then we'll just open up that hatch and run the air conditioner as well.
Yeah.
Just in case it was slop or anything where no air moving through there. And they'll sunbathe. Like they'll move over wherever that sun will hit them, depending on if we're going east or west, and they'll move to that side of the trailer or this side of the trailer.
So there's like a window on top.
Yes. It's a door.
Yeah.
A whole door that flips open.
So for those of you who don't know this, the trailers look really crazy. They're like they like fold up. What else do they do? It's like a whole like experience. It looks like
it is. There's a freezer in there to store fish, like a walk-in freezer, and then all this show stuff goes in the very back, basically around the freezer, just kind of packed in there like crazy. It's actually organized, but it seems like it's if you were to walk in and see it, you'd say, okay, it's organized chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just. I'm sure you're a little familiar with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of sometimes you got to just put stuff wherever it goes. But then once we get it set, once that trailer's set with a set loading, then we maintain that. And then in the middle is a pool, and in the front is always a living quarters for help. And the living quarters is basically a mini RV.
Yeah.
Has this one that's here has 2 queen beds, a kitchen, a little stove, oven, like an apartment size fridge, not the little tiny fridge, but like an apartment size. And then a little dining table and closet space, that type of stuff.
Okay, so you usually travel with 2 sea lions, correct?
2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Up to 4 sometimes.
Are they paired together?
Yes. So we typically try and change them depending on routing. So the same shows aren't getting, if we have a repeat show, we try not to send the same sea lions.
Oh,
because you would not believe how many people remember which sea lions, or they bring their picture and they want to recreate it. So we try and do it with different sea lions. So then we'll set that up here during the off time, and we'll start practicing and working with those 2 sea lions or 3 sea lions that we're going to pair up with that unit.
Yeah.
And with that person.
Interesting.
So
yeah, we do kind of the same thing actually. Just shift the casts around. So
right. So it's not the same thing. It's even though it's the same show, it's not the same show.
Is it? Would you prefer to work with a male, female, or 2 females together, or 2 males?
It's really difficult to travel with a male female because of the rules.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have 2 separate pools or 2 separate cages to travel them. You can't travel them together.
Yeah.
In the same area.
And is there why Texas?
Centrally located.
Just centrally.
Yeah. My dad lived in Fredericksburg, which is not too far from here. And every time I'd go across the country, last place I lived was in California. And it seemed like next gig would be in Florida. And then back to California. So I'd stop here and hang out a day with my dad, kind of like you're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's central. So then after doing that several times, and then during COVID, I was actually ended up here during COVID because I was doing shows in South Texas, and then they shut it down in the middle of the show. And so I came to my dad's and said, hey, Dad, we got 2 weeks off, can I come set up at your house? And so we did some shows for his church and friends and stuff like that. Yeah. And it went over well in this area. It's like a touristy town over there. It's it is touristy. So then from there, I was like, I got to start looking for a spot. So my dad helped me find this spot while I was still traveling the country.
How long have you been here?
4 years only.
4 years?
Yeah.
Oh, and you were previously in California?
Yes.
You said, what part did you say you were?
I lived right outside Mojave, between Mojave and Rosamond.
Okay.
So north of, hour and a half north of LA.
My next question was, is there different laws between the states, or is there any pain in the butt places to go to? Is that pain in the butt place California?
Well, now it is because the permitting has changed. Yeah. When I lived there, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
As much as California gets a bad rap for things like that, it wasn't that bad when I lived there. But now the permit it's about a 6-month process. You have to start it 6 months in advance.
So you had a bunch of sea lions in California.
I did. And when we sold that place, I bought this place and made them do 60 days escrow because I didn't think I'd be able to sell that place because we had 3 in-ground pools. And we sold it in minutes.
Really?
Yeah. For more than we were asking.
Wow.
That's incredible. Yeah.
4 years ago. So that was height of COVID, right?
It was during COVID.
During COVID?
During COVID.
Did that have any factor of why you moved out of there?
No, not at all. Just centrally located was the only reason. And I couldn't afford where my dad lived in the touristy town to actually have some property and do sea lions and be able to have the animals in the area and at a big enough spot that I could afford.
So when you started the business, did you just have a normal house, or did you already have kind of a...
No, I had a normal house, and then we just built pools onto that house.
So you had a couple acres or something at least,
yeah, we had 2.5 acres in Mojave there. And it was technically a Mojave address, but it was right in the middle of Rosamond and Mojave. It was 8 miles either way to each gas station.
So you mostly ran the company out of California, and Texas is actually pretty new.
Correct.
That's surprising, actually. I was like, oh, of course he has to live in Texas, because I watched Tiger King and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
everyone with crazy animals, they have to live in Texas, right?
Well, on the way here, when you came, no, you came a different way. But if leaving here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you a different way. You're gonna see all the different wild animal lots here that people just
Interesting.
have. That's like wild animal farms where they're just buying and selling
Tigers.
crazy exotics, all kinds of different animals.
So that was my next question. Do you have neighbors that have like tigers and
We do.
lions and stuff?
We do. There's tigers and lions here in Harper.
Do you guys just have like hangout parties? Like,
No, we don't actually.
is there
Yeah, we
Is
should.
there a group text?
Yeah, no, there's not. Well, we should though. You're right. That'd be a good idea. So there's a couple little wild animal exotic parks here. There's one that's open to the public, some that aren't open to the public, where they're just buying and selling. That's their livelihood, where they're doing exotics, and there's every animal you can think of: water buffaloes, normal buffaloes. There's we have a few different species of deer that are here wild. They're not native, but they're wild here. So that's a big market for them as well, because a lot of people like to hunt in this area. Our deer population is insane.
Really?
Yes.
I saw a lot on the side of the road.
A lot. Yeah, exactly. On the way here, you just on that last little bit coming off of 75, you probably saw 10 to 20 dead.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I saw pigs too. It was
Yes.
the first time I've ever seen pigs.
And we've
on the
never
side of
seen
the road.
any pigs right here.
Yeah.
Right here where I live. 5 miles down the road, hundreds of them.
Okay. So what about coyotes or anything?
We don't have any coyotes.
Nothing?
Nothing. We've
No
had
predatory animals?
no predators. We've had a bobcat here, and believe it or not, the dog's got it. So
Yeah,
that's the only reason. That's the only reason we knew we had a bobcat.
I feel like you wouldn't have to worry about predators with sea lions. They're probably
Yeah,
not going
exactly.
near the
Yeah. So we have we have somebody dropped a stray dog over the fence.
Yeah.
And that we have 6-foot fencing. So imagine somebody put that dog over the fence.
Yep.
And it's all field fence.
got a
So
brand
he
new
didn't
dog
come.
running
He
around
didn't
the
come.
table.
Yeah, we got a brand new dog here, and so that's how we've ended up with a lot of these dogs.
Would you say that what animal would you say sea lions are closest to?
Biologically, they say a mongoose and a bear.
Okay, what about their personality?
Personality, I would say a cat.
A cat?
A cat and a dog. They're like the water. A lot of people call them the water dogs, the dogs of the ocean, and they do have that personality. But they're kind of like a cat too, with the affectionate. If you're petting on them,
Yeah.
just like a cat. When they've had enough, they're either going to push you away,
Yeah.
nip at you, or just leave.
Yeah.
It's that part is more like a cat. They're not an affectionate animal. As sad as that is. We have some that are, a few out of 17.
So are your human performers, are they more like cat people or more like dog people?
We have both.
Both?
Yeah. So we have some that, so we don't allow cats here at home.
Yes.
However, some of our performers do have cats.
You said because of the
It's called toxoplasmosis. It's just a disease that can transfer over to sea lions and it can kill them.
Yeah.
So, and it's even bad for humans if the cat has it. So we just make them test for it every year.
yeah.
And then their cats stay in there living. They have travel trailers, so their cats stay in there. They're house cats.
Yeah.
So they're not outdoor cats. And then we use foot washes before you come into the sea lions if you have cats. You have to wash your feet and wash your boots in the foot wash and wash your hands, even though your cats have been tested. Just as a precautionary part, so we don't lose an animal over something that was avoidable.
Yeah. Interesting. So we just kind of did a tour around this place. Do you do tours for schools or other things
We
that are
do.
around here?
We do field trips for the schools. We do. We're doing 3 this year. 3. You saw the school on the way in,
Yep.
so we just did that one last week, and then we do another little town up the road, 12 or 13 miles up the road. There's another school that we'll do a field trip for, and then about 20 miles the other way, we'll do one right after that.
Yeah.
So we'll do 2 or 3 field trips every year for the schools around here. We do it for free, just as a part of like giving back a little bit. We give them all free pictures, give them the tour, do a show for them, and just make it a really good time for them. We feed them, give them snacks and drinks, and make it something memorable for them.
Yeah. So I know your show through the fair circuits. So you do a lot of fairs. What would you say, like 40, 50 a year?
More.
More than that, because you
Yeah.
guys have 4 units
4
running
traveling
at the
units,
same
yeah.
time. So that means 4 different shows at the same time,
Right.
basically going around.
Hopefully.
That's a lot. I feel like last year when we had 3 at the same time, I was losing my mind.
That's it's controlled chaos. It really
Yeah.
is. Even my parents say, "I don't know how you do it, Jimmy."
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm running ragged, and I have friends that worry like you're stressed out or but I'm not. I'm really not. I don't feel like I'm stressed out over the job. I'm stressed out over bills and, that type of stuff, normal life stuff.
Yeah.
But not because of traveling the country. Like you said, I like doing that still.
Yeah.
I still like getting out of here and go do some shows on the road. And I have to shave all this when I do a show. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's I still enjoy it, though.
The overhead for this place has to be crazy, though,
It's
right?
astronomical. Our operating costs are way worse than any business that I know of. It's just astronomical.
So you have, like, what's a normal shipment like? I saw you had salt packets, tons of, not just packets, they're like giant bags.
Yeah, giant pallets of salt. Yeah.
Fish. What else?
As far as major expenses,
Yeah.
fish, salt, vets, and chemicals.
Chemicals. Like chlorine.
Chlorine. We use a little bit of chlorine.
Yep.
Like I was talking about earlier, we use a little, just a touch of chlorine. But then, as we're transferring sea lions, we'll kind of just eliminate that chlorine with using another chemical, a very expensive chemical, to just completely get rid of the chlorine before the animals go back in there. So we'll test that water at least twice a day if it's a normal process with that water.
Yeah.
If we're having issues with that water, we'll test it several times a day just to get it balanced. And it's such a minimal amount of chlorine that our pools are still green, as you saw, but they're still clear. But so it's not an overabundance of algae or bacteria or anything like that. We have to test for that as well. On a weekly basis, we have to test for different bacteria in the water, and it's all documented. So it's quite a process.
Yeah, it looks like I thought my house was crazy with just ramps and stuff all over the place. You have pools and giant animals all over the place.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
So I believe you're the only sea lion show, correct?
That's it. Yeah, I'm the only one.
No one else has taken on this burden themselves?
No, they're not crazy enough.
Have you seen other shows like this that are other animals?
I have.
What would you say is like your top competitors?
Used to be Kevin with the monkeys.
There's a monkey show.
Used to be. He's kind of gotten off the road.
Yeah.
He doesn't do a whole lot, and he's based in California. He's an amazing trainer. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. I still call him to this day for anything that I can't figure out, or if I just want a pointer on something. He's just a general, huge book of knowledge with anything animal related.
Yeah.
And he's done countless movies and had an amazing show on the fair circuit. And he just kind of got tired of traveling and decided he could make enough money staying at home and have a more relaxed life.
Yeah. And do you book like corporate shows or other things as well?
We do. We do corporate shows. We've even done birthday parties. I've set up in a backyard. You name it, we've done it. We do a lot of fairs, festivals. That's the majority of it. But we've done corporate. We've done lots of corporate ones, actually, where it's a complete buyout, where they just want every employee to have the greatest time. And those are kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's different, as you know.
Yep.
Yeah, he's doing something like that is completely different, and it's a different environment. I really enjoy it, actually.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun because you're giving away everything because the corporate's taking care of everything.
Yep.
The company has, and it just makes it a really cool, different environment.
I bet you have an interesting writer where they're like, do you want Pepsis or do you want Coke? Yeah. What's yours like?
Ours is basically just our necessities.
Yeah.
So
2,000 fish.
Yeah, well, we bring the fish with us because we have the walk-in freezers. So that part is a little bit different, but they have to provide us with salt, power, water, drain. So that's our basic necessities, and then a footprint of space. And most of the shows are in like a 60 by 60 area. We can fit it in that. If they can give us more, we'd rather have a little bit more, but that's what we ask.
60 by 60.
That's what's needed to fit it in. And we have a few that'll fit in less.
Yeah.
But we still ask for the 60 by 60 just as a general rule.
Have you read the book Blue Ocean Strategy?
I have not.
Because your whole business is clearly Blue Ocean Strategy.
Really?
Blue Ocean Strategy, the premise of the book is there's a blue ocean and a red ocean. And not literally because you have sea lions, but blue ocean is when you have a business model where you separate yourself so much from your competition that you have your own category, and in your own category you can charge basically whatever you want because there's no other competitors. Right. And the red ocean is where most people are, and they have there's tons of competition, and at that point, if you don't differentiate yourself, you're basically just racing to the bottom of who can do the shows for the cheapest.
I'm going to read that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but you're right.
interesting, but
And
you
that
already
was the
have it.
plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly the plan, is to try and keep it, like you said, try and keep it at the top tier in the fair market and try and be the best.
yeah,
I appreciate the compliment, and I really strive for that really hard. I mean, we work really, really hard and trying to do something different and trying to be the best out there and try and be different and something unique.
yeah,
And the goal was to not have any competition and do this like
yeah,
that is the goal still. And even if there is competition, I want to be better. I
yeah.
want to be different. I want to be unique. So it's exactly, you hit the nail on the head.
For sure. I was hanging out in our agent's room during the fair conferences, and I would say at least half the people that come in there are just specifically to talk about the sea lions and get that solidified.
That's the goal.
And then
Yeah.
the other half is all of the other performers.
Right. And I try and be at the top of their budget as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to outprice myself.
Yep.
But
same thing with us.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
my goal of coming in. I was like, well, we'll do the fair shows, but we're going to try to be the most expensive. And then,
and do the best job.
Yep.
And you do.
yeah.
I've tried to book you on the side.
Yep.
And I don't do that for anybody anymore.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Why not?
It's always ended up bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Bad reference?
Bad reference. I've had people that have recommended. I shouldn't say everybody. I've had most where it's ended up wrong. Or one example was we did shows and we were getting paid, and we only had to work 4 days a week, and we were getting paid for the full week. And then something came up with a storm where we didn't work that week. They destroyed a bunch of their equipment, so we didn't have to work. So they asked for an extra show, and the person I recommended charged them for that extra show, even though we didn't work that week before. So I was like, and I had put my name out there and recommended them. And so now it's really difficult for me to do that. So it has to be something different and somebody that I see has that, like you're saying, to try and be the better one, try and do the best. And so I think you're the only one I've recommended in the last probably 5 years. Seriously.
Yeah. I think we both have the highest priced shows on the market.
Good.
So we're both doing pretty
Let's keep
good.
it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So, what's your favorite animal other than a sea lion?
Difficult. Oh, geez. So I want to buy an otter or get an otter, acquire an otter. I shouldn't say just say buy an otter, but
Yeah.
I want to acquire an otter and work with an otter because I never have. So that's probably a goal as far as working with an animal. And animals I've worked with,
You could upsell it with the otter.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes the whole traveling thing, since you can't travel the different species together.
Oh,
So
that
because
makes
of-
it way worse,
Right.
actually.
Yeah, because of the rules of traveling with marine mammals, it makes it really difficult. So that's why I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Because of that challenge. And I've wanted to do penguins as well. I've wanted to do a few different ideas and do that. And just different challenges have made it not happen yet.
So, are penguins teachable?
Not really. Very minimal.
Yet. Maybe.
Very minimal. Yeah, they don't. I don't think they have the capacity to learn a whole lot, and it's a kind of an odd animal, but they're a fascinating animal, and people are fascinated by them. And if we could bring, like we do with sea lions, even when we work LA, people like have never seen a sea lion. Like, this is ridiculous to me. How can you live in LA and be 40, 60 miles from the beach and never see a sea lion when they're all over the place? And people, so we bring them, even when we do LA County, it's people every day
Yeah.
have never seen sea lions. So imagine when we do it in a landlocked place that people have never seen that. So that really brings a lot of different, feelings for doing it. And you get a whole different feedback.
Yeah, we were, I took my friend from Ohio. He was visiting me in California. He used to live in Laguna Beach. And we went to this cave on the beach, right? As we were walking back,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was just there. Yeah.
Yep, it's right by the pier. You take one all the way down, I believe, or something like that. Anyways, so we're walking, and we're walking back to the car, and I've seen sea lions, of course, because I'm from California. He's never seen a sea lion. The sea lion apparently looked like a rock or something like that, just laying on the beach. And he saw the sea lion jumped up, and he ran for like at least 100 feet before he turned around to even see if it was still chasing.
He didn't even move, right? He just jumped up to see what's going on.
It ran away from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So how do you teach them tricks?
It's basically target-based training. So the first thing we do is teach them to touch their nose to a tennis ball or a buoy of some type, and just once they do that, reward that. So it's just basic training, rewarded training, and a bridge. So once they do that, we can use any bridge you want, but it's as far as classical terms. So you can say good or whatever you want to use for that. Say good, and then they get the reward for that.
Yeah.
So it's just exactly Oreo cooking method. Some people have called it, that type of deal. So, and then also we use two sometimes, one for their nose, and then one for a flipper, and then it basically just build off of that.
Okay.
So it's a really slow process at the beginning.
Similar to teaching a dog.
Very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah. A lot of people use clickers, and that's their bridge. It's a clicker. We just don't use that because if we don't have a clicker on us in the show, then it kind of changes things. So we just keep it the same for everybody.
Do your dogs do tricks also?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I still train dogs.
Still train dogs?
I still train dogs for a living.
Would you do a dog show?
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You have?
I have.
What dog show was it?
I did a dog act for years in the circus business.
I was on America's Got Talent, and we went all the way up to the top 10, and we lost to a group called Olate Dogs.
They were amazing.
They were amazing, right?
Yes, they were.
And
great dog act.
The thing was, I saw their act multiple times before the show started. The show started, they screwed up everything, but no one cared at all.
Right.
And
dogs.
we had like 90 stunts in like 90 seconds, and one person fell, and we got eliminated because of it. And I'm like, that's not fair because the dog screwed up so much, but no one knew.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Because in practice, they'll do great. Same with the sea lions.
Yeah.
In practice, we do things here at home, and then you go out there in the show, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. They're animals.
Have you done AGT?
I have not, but some of my dogs have.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I bet you that'd be a good experience for you guys.
yeah, so I'm doing another dog right now. The little white one that's running around here, the little middle-sized poodle. That's another back flip dog.
Yeah.
So.
They can do the flips.
Yeah. So.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's kind of been the only thing I really train with dogs anymore, and I've really tried to get away with it just because it's so much time involved, and but there's a few friends that I'm still doing it for.
Yeah.
And some of them have been on AGT.
Yep.
A couple of them.
We had I used to perform with this other company that looks like our show. It's called All Wheel Sports. And that was the group we did AGT with. We hired a skateboarding dog one year, but it showed up and it actually just did a sit on a remote control skateboard. And the whole show, every person on the stage had to completely freeze and not move, or the dog would just jump off. It was a complete nightmare.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
And one year we had a sub BMX rider, and he jumped. He didn't know that he couldn't move or make any noise or anything like that. He was just like moving around, getting the sweat off of his face, and the dog saw him, jumped off, tried to jump on the trampoline, disappeared, didn't make it all the way on. It thought the curtain was a wall, and that was the end of the dog.
Oh,
but
no.
The dog's name was Scooter, and it would literally bite anyone that it came close to. It was the worst trained dog ever.
Wow.
But it could sit on a remote control skateboard, and it's just a guy in the crowd just moving around a little wiggly thing. It was pretty funny. Oh no, my thing is writing down notes for me. Okay, what else do we have in here?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never tried to do anything like that. I was trying to be more genuine, I guess you could say.
So what's the furthest you've traveled?
Ooh. With sea lions?
Yeah.
Sea lions have been in Hawaii to New York.
How do you get in Hawaii?
On a boat. They take the whole
Do
semi on a
you
boat.
take the boat with them?
They take the yes, you take the boat with them. Yeah, so you're on a boat for 5 days, 6 days.
Really? That's
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
That's Hawaii would be a lot further.
No, it's 5 days on a barge. Yeah. And the whole semi goes, so it's basically the same setup as the fairs,
Yeah.
but on a boat.
So everywhere you travel in a motorhome
Yes.
because someone has to be around all the time. Is that correct?
If the fair is open or we don't have double fencing up, that's another one of the rules. That so if that's not up, then we have to have somebody on site.
Double fencing.
Right.
Oh, you guys do have double fencing now that I think about it.
Yeah, so if it's not double fencing up, somebody has to be out there with the sea lions.
That's probably way worse than we have to deal with because we have a trampoline on the stage at all times, and anyone
We'll jump the
who's
fence
had
and
two
jump in.
beers wants to get on that trampoline.
Yeah.
And no matter how much I tell the fairs, we need an actual fencing. They are like, will show up and like, oh yeah, we got you guys some rope. I'm like, no, that doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
So
People go right through it.
Yeah, we've had kids like try to run on stage during the middle of a show. We actually have a bit that we put in our arena shows, the bigger shows, and Dylan that's sitting over here behind the camera actually jumps on stage from the audience, and it's like a whole like choreographed chaos skit basically.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Like I said, doing dog act before. We used to have those little Tykes kids little cars that you push, little red and yellow cart that has no power in it. It's just a crazy wheeled little cart for kids. They kind of like the Flintstones cart. They have to use their feet to get around. So we used to always put a dog in that and then put another dog to push it, like it's pushing around a kid in a stroller. Kids from the audience would always do the same thing, jump the fence and get in that cart and just play with it because they had one at home.
Of course.
So they could associate with it.
Yep.
Same with the trampoline.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's something that they can associate with. And that was the difference with the dogs too, is people can associate training a dog. They have no idea what's involved in training a sea lion.
Of course.
Yeah. So
and then I believe this is my last question. I want to end on a funny note. Do you have any funny or random incidences that, like, what's the top thing that comes to your mind when you think of a funny story with sea lions?
Probably with my wife.
Okay.
we do a bit with the kids throwing frisbees to the sea lions, and we have several sea lions that throw the frisbee into the pool always. So we'll set that or they throw it to the right or to the left, example, and so we'll set the sea lion on that side of the stage, so where the frisbee ends up in the pool, and she'll tell the kid, "Well, go get the frisbee." So we're out of frisbees. You got to go get that one. And we were in Oregon last year, and the kid just leaped right into the pool during the middle of the show. No fear, no hesitation. She said jump, and the kid just jumped. And somebody had it on video in the audience, and I announced it after the show. I said, if anybody got that on video, I'd love to see that. And it was hilarious. Like, I could not talk on the microphone. And she was laughing, and it was just one of those funny ones that are just genuine and unplanned.
Was he hypnotized or something?
Nothing. Yeah, he just did it. She said jump. He was probably, I'd say 8.
8 years old?
Yeah, but so the parents later explained that he was taking acting classes. So in his acting classes, if the acting coach would say, do this, do that, they have to do it.
Yeah.
So he kind of took it like an acting role. And that was the parents' excuse. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they said. But it was really, really funny.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah. It's a good excuse for a crazy kid.
Dropped him on his head a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one more question. Do the sea lions have social media or anything like that?
We don't. We've got rid of all of it.
Any reason?
Basically animal rights activists.
My God. I know exactly.
Yeah,
We've done circuses, and there's lots of protesters.
Yeah, we've had protesters that don't realize that we're a rescue facility. Every sea lion we have is unreleasable or has been released several times, some of them 3 to 5 times, and they've been re-released and then restrand. And finally, the government will deem them unreleasable, and that's how we end up on them. But so people don't realize that. And some of the so-called animal rights activists that really don't do anything for animals, most of them, I'm sure some do, but as far as the whole, a lot of them are just looking to fight with me. And so since I won't fight with them and I won't argue with them, it's better just to eliminate it all.
So there's no reasoning with those people, huh?
Some of them, there's no reasoning. And I'll, even like now, when they get somebody to come up and say, would you guys like to talk about this, or would you like to hear why, or why we're doing this?
They don't want to hear that.
Some of them don't want to hear it. So if they don't want to hear it, then I'm just wasting my breath.
Yeah.
So I don't want to fight with them, and I'm for what?
Yeah.
So that's why I've gotten rid of all social media, even the website.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just because I won't answer them, and I won't open up a dialogue even.
Yeah.
I just feel like at that point I'm opening the door to lose. So and then some of them are incorrigible. No matter what I say, I'm still the bad guy. So.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed you didn't have a website or social media or any of that stuff.
And we still have...
Makes sense, though.
Yeah, we still have the website, it's still ours, but there's nothing on there. So it's just to avoid all that, those headaches.
No, we've dealt with it before. I've done a handful of shows with animals, and it's funny because we're an extreme sports show, but sometimes it's still marketed as a circus, and we had someone come on and... protest the show, and I'm like, we don't even have animals. What is this person doing sitting in this?
So that's how much research they did.
I was so confused that it was like, what are you doing? They're like, They are. I forget what they said. Something.
Yeah.
For the animals.
Right, free the animals. Well, we don't have any. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how much research they do sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's where it's good if they'll talk about it, and I enjoy doing that. I really do. Like trying to listen to their side and listen to my side, and if they're willing to have that open dialogue, but only in person now. I won't do it even in interviews like that anymore or anything like that. It's just because it gets construed and people take it out of context, and I always seem to be the bad guy. It seems like when it comes to that part, and I'm not. I'm doing my best.
I've walked around. The sea lions are having a blast.
Yeah, exactly. I really try hard.
Yeah.
I really, really do as a whole. And we're 16 employees now for 17 sea lions.
Yeah.
So it's quite a bit.
Okay, so on the next podcast, we will do a 3-way podcast with a protester.
We should.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
We got to have some voice of reason.
Yeah, we should. I'm open to it.
I don't think they'll do it, but
Yeah, I'm open to it,
if
though.
there's anyone out there who absolutely does not enjoy this, comment down below.
Yeah, there you go.
Someone's screaming in the comments right now.
Yeah, they probably will. And but if they're willing to have a conversation about it,
Yeah.
a decent conversation
Yeah.
and be reasonable, then I'd love to do it.
Cool.
If they just want to scream at me, I don't want to talk to them. Yeah.
Awesome. Any last words?
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for coming, James. That concludes this episode of the Off Axis Podcast. If you guys found value in this, please consider sharing with your friends. Also, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, everyone.